Hey, Pure Soul members. Happy August. I'm so excited that you guys are here with me today, and I can't wait to share the spiritual focus topic for this month. This month, we're going to be talking about the concept of add-ons, and it's one of the most important concepts that I can share with you because it really brings about and prompts the idea of healing all trauma, illness, and imbalance in our life, so that those things don't manipulate our everyday experiences. And so I think you'll find this month's topic really beneficial for today and for the rest of your lives. And before we dive into all of that, I do want to share a few Alma Pura updates with you guys. So this month, our Ask Nikki Zoom is going to be on Thursday, August 20th at 6 p.m. And I know we were initially doing Thursdays and then we switched to Wednesdays. Well, now we're going to go back to Thursdays because as I was hearing from some of the members, it seems like Thursdays in general work out a little better for the group. So I hope everybody can still join us on August 20th, Thursday at 6 p.m. I'll be sending out a newsletter with a little with a link to our Zoom, so you don't have to register if you don't want to. You could just click on that link and be connected to the Zoom on the day that we're doing it. This month, our topic for our Ask Nikki Zoom will be success. And I just want everybody to just take a few minutes before the Zoom and think about how you measure success in your life. How do you validate yourself? How do you know that you've done a good job? And what is your measurement for finding information about that for yourself? So if you could just think about that a little bit and maybe bring it to the Zoom so we can share with each other. I know that for me sometimes it's hard for me to measure success. And so I think about what success really means to me. And when I say that word, where does it happen inside of me and what's my measurement for it? And I would like to know what everybody else thinks about that too. And so I hope that you guys think about that and bring it to the Zoom so we can share that information with each other. The next thing I do want to make sure that I say is, as always, thank you guys so much for being part of the Alma Pura Pure Soul community. It means so much to me because I get to share the things that I've learned in my journey with God and the clarity that Spirit has brought into my life. I want to share that with everybody, and by you being a member and sharing this time with me, you're actually helping me do my mission. You're helping me do the thing that I think I was supposed to do, and so I want to thank you for sharing in that with me. I also want to say welcome to our new members. We do have a few new members that have joined, and I'm really excited and hoping that our new members can also join our Zoom so that we can get to know them and share experiences with them as well. Last month during our Ask Nikki Zoom, we were going to talk about certain topics and of course ask questions of Spirit, but our Heaven family visited us last month, and I just want to say what a beautiful experience that was for me and hopefully for the people on the Zoom last month. So if you get a chance, just check out the Ask Nikki Zoom from last month that is posted on the website in the members section. I think it's really, I don't know, I always find that there's a message in there for everyone that watches it or connects with it, because it will speak to you. So I encourage you to take a look at it and watch it if you haven't already. Okay, this month's member discount is for $40 off of a joint spiritual session. You can have up to 2 people in a joint session. I hope you take advantage of it. So if you've ever wanted your friend to join you or your spouse or your partner, feel free to bring them along and enjoy your discount of $40 off. I hope I get to see you in an occasion like that. I love connecting with people in joint sessions because they care about each other, they're friends, and it's always nice to see the spirit connection between you and your friend or relative that's in the room with you. So I hope you take advantage of that. And Yep, I think that's it. Again, I'll see you on Thursday, August 20th, for our Zoom. All right. Now I would like to talk about spiritual add-ons. So what is an add-on? An add-on is a visualization that we add on to the back end of a trauma or an illness that results from a trauma or an imbalance in our life. And we do this add-on process for the purpose of healing those discrepancies in our life. So whether you're trying to heal a trauma itself or the resulting illness, this is the process that will bring you closer and closer to a balance between your body and soul, and not letting old experiences or past traumas manipulate and affect our day. So think about this. All trauma has a beginning. All illness has a beginning. All imbalance has a beginning. What they don't have, though, is an end. Unfortunately, they don't have an end. So we can have something occur in our life that feels traumatic when we're 7, and then when we're 27, we're still experiencing the effects of that trauma. And that trauma kind of molded or shaped us to be a certain person. And sometimes we struggle with that. So when we do these add-ons, our purpose is to bring an end to the trauma, because we know that the trauma can affect us in many different ways. Trauma can affect us mentally, it can affect us emotionally, it can affect us physically. So in whatever way that your trauma presents itself in your daily life, the process of add-ons is, well, I think it's one of the only ways that we can find peace and heal all of the issues that disconnect us from our own spirit self. So our goal is to bring an end to the trauma in our lives and to heal the illnesses that result from that trauma, and to bring a better relationship to the forefront for our human self and our spirit self. So the past is the past, right? We can't change it, we can't erase it, but we can add on to it. So when we talk about, well, block out the trauma or put it off to the side, it still exists there, and we don't want it to. So instead of trying to change it or erase it, maybe if we just add something to it, we can find the balance that we're looking for. So where we usually identify that trauma that we have experienced in the past got the better of us is usually when we find ourselves sick physically, or we notice that our emotions are just, we can't balance them out, or our mind is racing all the time. And so when we get to a point in our life that we can't handle that illness or that imbalance anymore, that's the best place to be. It feels very dehumanizing to be in that experience, but it's actually one of the better places to be, because from that place you can find clarity, and from that place you can find a path to healing all of these different things. So the first step in the process is to identify the trauma, the illness, or the imbalance that you want to try to heal. Right? And so you can access this information in a couple different ways. You can access the information from the conscious brain. So you may hold this information in your brain, and that would be something like, here's an example. 3 years ago I was diagnosed with X illness, or 5 years ago I was involved in a car accident. So when we think of the different trauma or imbalances or experiences in our life, a lot of times we hold that situation and that experience in our conscious mind, and we're able to draw it out. We're able to reference it very easily because we know when it happened. 3 years ago I was diagnosed with this illness, and 5 years ago I was in a car accident. So you see, even though it happened 5 years ago, even though 3 years ago we got the diagnosis, it's in our conscious mind today, even though it happened before. Okay, we can also access what traumas or illnesses or imbalances we want to heal through the subconscious mind. And this is a little bit different because we don't hold the actual trauma in our mind that our subconscious mind will kind of let us know there's an issue going on. It's not as easily as accessible as it is when you access that information from the conscious mind. So these kind of are identified through repetitive experiences. So accessing this information from the subconscious mind would sound something like, wow, my relationships never work out. I'm dating the same type of person. Or how come all my friendships result this way? Or every time I go to a job interview, I freeze up and I can't communicate effectively, but I can be with my friends and I communicate fine. I don't know why I blow all of the job interviews in my life. So here we are accessing, or we're thinking about an imbalance in our life, something that doesn't work out, and it's repetitive and it seems to happen all the time and we don't know why. So we might not have that. We might not be holding a trauma related to that imbalance in the conscious brain. We're not saying, oh, ever since I was 17, I'm dating the wrong type of person. And, oh, every time since I was 32, now I can't do interviews. So that would be more of the conscious mind. 5 years ago I was diagnosed, 3 years ago I had an accident, etc. You're holding it in your present mind. But when things are imbalanced in our life, that's more stuffed into our subconscious mind. And we can identify what they are by just kind of reviewing our life and noticing the questions that we ask ourselves, like, I don't know why my relationships aren't working, and I don't know why every time I go for a job interview, I can't express myself and I can't communicate effectively. So that's what I want you to focus on. I want you to be able to identify if you have trauma, illness, or imbalance that you're holding either in the conscious mind or in the subconscious mind. Okay? The second step to this process is to consult with your spirit. So whether you identify the trauma or the illness or the imbalance from the conscious mind or the subconscious mind, you still have to connect with your spirit self to help you initiate the process of healing, to help you initiate this process of add-ons, because only your spirit can tell you where it actually started, where it actually began. Okay? So that process of asking your spirit is a very simple process. All you have to do is kind of sit quietly and reflect with yourself. I tend to say a little prayer when I am asking my spirit something. So first I try to bring my human mind into more of a prayerful type of consciousness. You may think of it as like a meditation or a meditative state. But what I try to do is pray, and then I ask my spirit about the illness, the trauma, or the imbalance. And I only ask my spirit one question. And the way that I ask it is I say, where did this begin in my life? So now in step one, I'm identifying the trauma, right? Either through the conscious or the subconscious mind. So I have it. I know what I'm trying to fix. When I go to the second step, this is where I want to talk to my spirit. This is where I want to see how is she going to guide me through healing this trauma that I've identified in my life. So since I know what it is and I know what I want to fix, my only question to my spirit has to say, where did this begin in my body? Or why do I stay in toxic relationships? Where does that begin? Where do relationships not working out in my life where did that begin? Okay? All right. Now that's the second step. You ask your spirit, where did this issue begin in my life? And then after you ask that question, you have to wait to see what comes back to you. When you ask your spirit, where did this begin in my life? And you close your eyes and you ask that, a memory will arise in your mind from a period of time in your life. And what that means is that your spirit put that memory in your mind. So now you have a place to begin the healing. So the third step in this process is to add on. So now that you have the moment in your mind that your spirit told you about in step 2, you can begin the journey of healing. And remember that add-ons are visualizations that you add on to the back end of the memory or the illness for the purpose of healing. So that's what we're going to do with our memory, because there is no past, present, or future in spirit. It's all right now. Energy doesn't have a past, present, or future. So when we're connected to spirit, the age of the current self is the same as the age of the younger self. There's no time difference when we unite those two things. So what we want to do is we want to add in our current self, our current age self, at the end of the memory that our spirit provided us in order to rescue the inner child from the trauma or the illness or the imbalance. So let me tell you how this happened in my life. So I have Crohn's disease, and the medicine wasn't working, and it wasn't helping to go to the doctors. So out of frustration, I had asked my spirit, where did this begin? And then my spirit gave me this memory. And the memory was my sister was older than me, and we were having dinner, and my mom put steak and potatoes and salad or something on the table. And when I went to serve myself the piece of steak, my sister told me that the steak used to be a cow. And I didn't know that meat was animals. And when she told me that, I couldn't eat the steak. And so my dad got really mad at me during the course of dinner because I wouldn't eat it, that ultimately he hit me and I fell off the chair and I landed on the kitchen floor and I had tears streaming down my face, and I was looking up at my dad like in shock. I couldn't understand why he was mad that I wouldn't eat the dinner because I had found out it was an animal. And so the way that we go through step 3, and that's the end of the memory right there, is me looking up at him crying. And that's apparently where the Crohn's began in my body. So what I want to do is I want to add on to the back end of that memory, and I want to create a visualization that's going to be the same visualization every time I think of that memory with my dad. I'm going to add the same story in every time. So I'm going to merge that current life self with that 6-year-old life self, and I'm going to make them into one memory, okay? So now here's how it began. I get up on a Monday morning, I make myself think of the memory that my spirit showed me. I end the memory where it ends, with me falling off the chair and looking up at my dad, and right as that memory is ending, I insert by visualization the current age self, which at the time was 43. So then I create a visualization, a continuation to the memory, where my 43-year-old self walks into the room in the kitchen and says to my younger self, "Hey Nicole, don't look at your dad, honey, look at me. I just want to explain that in 11 years you don't live at home anymore and you can eat whatever you want. You don't have to eat meat if you don't want to. You kind of get to be your own boss at that time. So don't even worry about this. This is just so that you know that you grow up to be a great person. And if your dad gets mad at you, or if he hits you, or if he makes you feel this way today, it's okay, because you're going to grow up to be a United States Marine. And if your dad doesn't teach you how to defend yourself and how to fight and how to stand up for yourself, if he doesn't teach you that, you won't be able to be a Marine. So it's okay if he gets angry and teaches you that, So this way you can be a great soldier. And don't even worry, because you grow up to have the best daughters in the world, and they love you so much, and you let them eat whatever they want because you're a great mom. And then that's it. And then I end and close off the memory with my little girl self looking at my 43-year-old self. I wake up on Tuesday. I make myself think of the original memory. I'm still upset about that original memory. And then again, I have to add in the second part that I created, the visualization. So I go through the process again, and I add in the exact same thing, the exact same words, exact same clothing. I do it again. By day 3, I do it again. So on Wednesday, I make myself think of the memory, and then I add in or add on to the back of the memory by visualizing myself coming in and rescuing the day and telling my little girl self everything that she's going to accomplish. So now I do that, and I've done that Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and each time I would think of the memory, and I would have to consciously visualize and do the add-on. On Thursday, I noticed something a little different. I woke up, I made myself think of the memory, and the memory was as it was. I fell off the chair, I hit the floor. Oh my goodness, here comes my 43-year-old self, and she's telling me to get up and not worry about it, and I'm going to become a Marine, and I have to learn all these things, and all of this is going to be better, and I'm great, and I end up being a great mom and a great soldier, and okay, now all of that happened on its own. In other words, after a few days of initiating the visualization, by like the 4th day and the 5th day and the 6th day, it was no longer me initiating a visualization. It was no longer me trying to add on to the back of the memory. It became one fluid memory. I didn't have to add anything in. Once that became one fluid memory, the whole concept of that memory changed, because now if I only tell you the original memory, it's not the complete memory. It's not. I would only be telling you half of the story. Now that memory automatically on its own continues with my 43-year-old self walking in the room. And this is what healed me. It was no longer an issue. I understood where my illness began, how it began, why it began, and I was on the journey to heal it. And I felt better, and that memory no longer pained me. By like the 4th day, I wasn't upset about the memory. It was just a story. It was a memory. And I know it was neutralized because I wasn't looking up at my dad. I wasn't counting on him or anybody from that time to fix it for me. My 43-year-old self came in and fixed it for me. And that memory became peaceful. It's like now the memory is a complete memory, and it's the full memory, which includes my add-on. So that was the first step to healing. I mean, I have Crohn's disease. I've had it for a long time. So once that memory was mastered, once the beginning of the illness was mastered, and I understood about that, I went back and I asked my spirit again, what is the next point that has to be healed for Crohn's disease? Like, what is the next thing, Spirit, that you want me to look at, that you want me to balance, that you want me to heal? What's my next memory? What are you going to show me next? So I did that, and I asked my spirit, because I didn't know if that was the only thing. I asked where it began, but did it continue? I developed Crohn's. I didn't have Crohn's at that time. It started at that time. So what else happened that brought me all the way to that illness? And I didn't feel done because I obviously wasn't healed of Crohn's. So I did the process again, and I asked my spirit, what's my next point of healing for Crohn's? And then I got another memory. And the memory was that I was over at my cousin's, and they were eating some kind of food, and I did not want to eat it. I think it was like chop suey or something, and I did not want to eat it. And my aunt got upset with me, and my cousins were like, why? Because it's so good, you should totally eat it, and I didn't want to eat it. And I felt bad when that happened, and when that memory came to my mind, which again I hadn't thought about in years since the day it happened, but there it was in my brain, and I remember feeling bad that I always had a problem with food. Like, I understood at that time that I had a problem at dinner time every night with my dad. I didn't like what other people liked. Everybody said I was a really picky eater. And so here's the second point in my life where Crohn's continued developing in my body. So I had to create a visualization and an add-on for that experience with my cousins. And that took another 7 days. Altogether, it took me about 6 months, and there were a lot more memories, some positive and some negative, that I had to address and bring into balance. And after about 6 months of doing this practice, something happened to my physical body. I got off all of my medications. I still have Crohn's disease, but I only take one anti-inflammatory per day. That's the only medication I take. And my quality of life since I did that is so much better. I used to be sick 12 hours a day. Now I'm sick for 3 or 4 hours in the morning, and then I'm done. And then I feel good for the rest of the day. And it's very rare that I get a flare-up. And I know that it's contributed to this process of doing an add-on. I've done this for other situations in my life. I just thought that this one was... it kind of incorporated the experience I had with my dad. It involved past trauma. It also involved like an illness. So it brought a couple different references, and that's why I chose that example. I hope that this all makes sense to you guys, because what I would challenge you to do this month is to either through the conscious mind or the subconscious mind, identify the issue, identify the illness, identify the trauma, and identify the imbalance. In step 2, ask your spirit where it started. How did it begin? How did it manifest in you? Where did it start? And then when your spirit responds in the second step with that memory or that impression, I want you to go to the third step with that memory. Where did it begin? And I want you to do the add-on. Until the add-on, you don't have to try to do it. It just happens all on its own. That's what I want you to do. And then after you complete that, where it's a fluid memory, where now it's all your little person self and your current self, and it's all one memory, and we're mushing that time together, and we're healing it from the adult self for the younger self or the child self. Once that becomes a fluid memory, go back to your spirit and say, what's my next point of reference to address this thing I'm trying to heal that I identified in step 1? I want you to try to do that. Just try it. It for somehow your mind feels better, your emotions feel better, your body feels better. It's an amazing, amazing way to heal. And I hope it works for you guys, and I hope that you share that experience. I created a worksheet to just kind of take you through the steps so that when you do this for yourself the first time, you'll have something to reference. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. I hope this made sense to you guys. I know I was babbling a little bit, but the concept is so, I don't know, it's just amazing. I just wanted to share it. So maybe I was too excited to share it and I was babbling a little bit, but anyway, thanks you guys for joining Spiritual Focus Topic, and I hope this information helps you to heal, and I hope that you'll share your stories with me to let me know if this was beneficial for you. God bless you, and see you on August 20th at the Ask Nikki. Bye-bye.